The Maul or Sidious. Well, I don't know. Hard to say because I definitely had more control over how Maul was. What's the last thing George Lucas told you when he was doing Force Unleashed? Well, George, I never actually. The first contact I ever had with George Lucas was at the launch party for Force Unleashed, which was at a Best Buy, and him and Jet were there, and I had a chance to have some conversations with him there, and he was just a sweetheart. Show up and help us launch the game and stuff like that. But I never actually talked to him while we were working on it. Little did we know he was on the other side of Lucasfilm working with the.
You ever wonder, looking at all this? Wonder what? Well, where all the money for the fantasy market and the carvings and the art comes from? From all the people who give the bank their money. No, no.
Hold on for a second.
The bank spends it on fancy stuff. What if they want it back? Well, maybe some of them die first and never ask for it back. Well,
Oh my.
could be. I keep my gold home locked up myself. Safer that way.
That's Stephen Russell, by the way, the same guy that does the voice of Garrett, does that guard's voice. So when they recast him in Thief 4, they also lost that guard, which sucks because that guard is as much a part of Thief as Stephen Russell. Well, maybe not as much, but definitely memorable. Okay, so George had an influence on Force Unleashed, right? He guided Hayden Blackman and the team toward how they were supposed to make it. I remember him talking. I remember Hayden passed a lot of George wisdom to me, like Star Wars is. I can't remember what the breakdowns were, but George was saying something like Star Wars is this much action, this much this much that, and this much comedy. And he wanted all of that to be reflected in Force Unleashed. He also wanted it to be original, which is, I assume, why he accepted the idea of the Force being kind of amped up to 11 for all the Force users, that, he thought that was perfect for a game. I don't think he thought that was perfect for, the universe, but for the game, for the purposes of the game, that version of the universe, he was cool with that. One of the things that I thought was really interesting was this idea that if you didn't use the Force for a while, that your ability to use the Force would atrophy, and eventually you would feel as if your connection to the Force has been cut. You see that with Cully Fredrickson's character, General Coda, in Force Unleashed, and I guess also Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. They kind of went with that idea, but until then, the idea, like that idea had never occurred to me. It's like, whoa, you can lose it. And apparently, that's kind of interesting. And also, I remember there was talk of like that the Jedi, when they were defeated, that they were not all killed, and some of them ran off and became farmers. And I swear, look, I don't know if this is, I didn't hear this from George, but I remember Hayden telling me that, yeah, some of them became farmers, and some of them just hid away and lost themselves, and some of them became bounty hunters and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, bounty hunters, ex-Jedi bounty hunters, dude, that's crazy. So I don't know if that was, I don't know, that's what Hayden told me that George told him. So I was just like, that's nuts. So yeah, there were a lot of, I'm trying to think what other ideas showed up. I was trying to think if there's something about Shakti and her apprentice Maris Brute, Felucia. I don't know. I got to think about that. But yeah, a lot of interesting ideas. There was a lot of information from George Lucas about where certain characters were and what they were doing, including Jimmy Smits' character, who was, Jimmy Smits played him in the game. But what Leia was doing, what Bail Organa was doing, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it might have been George's suggestion to do the Birth of the Rebellion. Now, for the record, I don't know how he feels about the implementation of that idea, but I think it might have been his suggestion to put that in the story. I know that George didn't feel that our implementation was he didn't quite approve of it, but I think he overall approved of the fact that we got a game done. So. So when I say things like, "Hey, that was an idea he introduced to us," it doesn't mean that's canon, or you know what I mean? Like it's just that he said, "Try this," if that makes any sense. Let me see if I can hit that guy. I don't know. Starkiller. Shite. I don't know. I feel like we did good stuff in Force Unleashed, and I would hate to not do good stuff with the character. I'd hate to mess it up. Shite. Come on. That was a direct fucking hit right there. Come on. That was a direct fucking hit. Yeah. Go to sleep, robot. Running out of water arrows. That's not good. I think I wouldn't know how George feels personally about those things. I will say that some of the ideas that I was aware of, I would have liked to have seen how they would be implemented. But again, I haven't read them. So.
I'd like to introduce the creator of all things Star Wars, Mr. George Lucas. I'd like to thank you all for coming. These rows here should just turn around and pick the first thing off the shelf and buy it. It's really great to be here. I'd really like to thank Hayden and his team for all the work they've done for countless years. But now it's finally out. We're all very excited. This is the first example of what we've been able to accomplish by putting ILM and LucasArts in the same building at the Presidio. So it was a great collaboration between the two of them. And I'm sure you'll enjoy the game. My son is here, but I can't bring him up. He worked several summers. He was the guy that put the bugs into the game. And The testers only got, he put in 432, the testers only found 327. So for an extra $50, you just send it to him and he'll give you a little list of the bugs that they didn't find. If that doesn't work, just email Aiden and he'll explain it to you. Anyway, I think you'll find this game extremely exciting, and I hope you all enjoy it.